I needed a break from everything. School, my job, even people. So I booked a remote cabin up in the hills. It was deep in the woods, about an hour outside town. No neighbors, no cell service, just trees and silence. It sounded perfect. The host messaged me the morning of the trip saying, "Enjoy your stay. You'll be the only one there this week." I arrived just before sundown. The place looked exactly like the photos. A small wooden cabin tucked between pine trees with a porch swing and a little fire pit out front. No Wi-Fi, just an old radio and a shelf of dusty books. Inside was cozy, but cold. I turned on the heater and dropped my bag. As night settled, I sat outside watching the woods fade into blackness. That's when I heard it, a light scratching sound on the side of the cabin. I stood up, walked around the porch, but didn't see anything. Could have been an animal, I figured. I went back in, locked the door, and tried to sleep. Around 2:17 a.m., I woke up to something louder, scratching. This time, right outside my bedroom window. I sat up in bed and stared at the curtains. I couldn't see past them, but I swear, I saw the shadow of someone moving just beyond. I stayed frozen, barely breathing. Then silence. No more scratching, no footsteps, nothing. The next morning I checked the ground outside. There were faint shoe prints near the window. Human, barefoot. I messaged the host asking if maybe someone else was on the property. Maintenance, a groundskeeper, anyone. She replied, "Absolutely not. You're the only guest. No one else should be near the cabin." That day I tried to distract myself. Read, chopped wood, listen to the radio. But I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. That night, just past midnight, I heard thumps on the roof. Not like a branch falling, actual footsteps. Slow, deliberate. I grabbed the flashlight and walked quietly to the window facing the front porch. That's when I saw something that made my heart stop. A tall figure was standing motionless at the tree line, watching the cabin. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. I just watched him watching me. Then, he turned and walked slowly back into the woods. I should have left. I know I should have. But it was already so late, and part of me was still hoping I was overreacting. On my last night there, I triple-locked every door and window, slept with a kitchen knife on the nightstand. At 3:12 a.m., the smoke alarm in the hallway went off for no reason. It wasn't smoke. It was like someone had triggered it manually. When I ran out of the bedroom, the front door was wide open. I swear on everything. I had locked it. I stood there for a full minute, staring out into the darkness. No sounds, no wind, just the open door, like an invitation. I slammed it shut, locked everything again, and stayed up until morning. When I checked out, I left a note for the host saying I appreciated the stay, but something weird had happened. She never replied. But a few days later, I saw the cabin relisted online. Same photos, same host. But this time, the listing title had changed. It now read, "Cabin in the Woods, for guests who don't mind the occasional visitor." I was in town for a short film festival and found this cozy Airbnb studio listed as private entire unit. It was a quiet neighborhood just outside the city. The listing had 5 stars and dozens of positive reviews. I didn't think twice. When I arrived, the host, a man in his late 40s named Leonard, was already standing outside. He greeted me way too warmly. Like, it felt overly familiar. But whatever, I figured he was just being friendly. He handed me the keys, gave me a quick tour, and then said, "I'll just be right next door if you need anything." Cool. But that night, as I was watching TV, I kept hearing movement, like footsteps, from inside the walls. I paused the show, listened, silence. Then just as I was about to hit play again, I heard a soft knock on the wall behind the couch. 3 slow taps. I froze. I texted Leonard, "Hey, just heard knocking inside the wall. Any idea?" No reply. At around midnight, I went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. I kept feeling like someone was just outside the door. At one point, I even opened it. Nothing. I finally passed out around 2 a.m. At 4:16 a.m., I woke up to the unmistakable sound of a creaking door. My bedroom door. There, silhouetted by the hallway light, was Leonard, just standing, staring, not saying a word. I sat upright and yelled, "What the hell?" He jumped, muttered something like, "Sorry, thought I heard something," and quickly closed the door. I packed my things and left that morning without even brushing my teeth. I messaged Airbnb support and filed a complaint, but by the time they responded, Leonard's listing had already disappeared. No listing, no contact info, gone. To this day, I wonder how many times he did that, or what would have happened if I hadn't woken up. I booked a remote Airbnb cabin to get away from everything. No neighbors, no noise, just forest, mountains, and peace. I was burnt out from work and needed the silence. The cabin looked perfect, rustic but modern. One bedroom, a full kitchen, and even a little fireplace. But the listing had one strange note. Do not attempt to open the locked door at the end of the hallway. It's for storage. That didn't bother me much at first. Lots of places have off-limits closets, but it's what happened on the second night that changed everything. I was sitting by the fire, reading, when I heard a thud, like something fell. It came from behind that locked door. I froze. Then it came again, a low dragging sound. I told myself it was probably just something shifting in storage, old furniture, maybe a shelf falling. But curiosity started to eat at me. I went down the hallway and stood in front of the door. It was completely still now, no sounds. I leaned my ear against it, and I swear, I heard breathing, not mine, not imagined. Slow, shallow breathing. I backed away. I messaged the host. "Hey, I heard noises from the locked storage room. Is someone staying in there?" He replied instantly, "No, it's completely empty. Please don't try to open it." No apology, no explanation. I didn't sleep that night. At 2 a.m., I woke up to a loud bang, the kind that shakes the walls. I jumped out of bed and ran down the hall. That door, the locked one, was vibrating, like something was pounding it from the other side. 3 deep thuds. Then silence. I called the host immediately. He didn't answer, so I called the police. When they arrived, I showed them the door. One of the officers knocked and announced himself, and that's when we all heard it. A voice, faint, hoarse. It said, "Help me." They broke down the door. What we found inside was a small, windowless room, just a mattress on the floor, and a man, thin, pale. His wrists were bruised. He didn't say much. He looked terrified. The police took him away, and later I found out something that haunts me. The man had been missing for 3 months. The host had been keeping him there, feeding him just enough to keep him alive. I had been sleeping in that cabin, completely unaware that someone was trapped just feet away, behind a locked door. If you've ever had a creepy experience in an Airbnb or hotel, share it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying true stories. Thanks for watching.